Welcome back in, y'all. We are Black Girls Talking TV, where we bring the group chat to life and discuss all your favorite TV shows. Today is all about Netflix's new game show, $1 Million Secrets. We will be covering the entire season. And so, if you aren't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can stay tuned to all of our recap. I'm Victoria. I am a psychologist out of New York and Illinois.
And I'm Kamaria. I am an attorney in the DC area and a pop culture writer. And today I'm recovering from a cold, so be, patient with me if my voice is a little raspy. But we're excited to talk about $1 Million Secret. It's a new show on Netflix, and I think they did a pretty good job with it. What are your thoughts, Victoria?
Yeah, I think overall for it to be a new show on Netflix, they
Mm-hmm.
don't have too many like game shows. And so for their first with all new people that haven't came from previous game shows, I think it's all
Mm-hmm.
right. I definitely have my critiques, but it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's their
They do
first season.
they have the circle though, and they have the mole. I don't know if the mole is theirs and they're just showing it on there, but the mole I enjoyed the mole. The circle was a little hard for me to get into, but people say it's good. It's got like 6 seasons, and so
Yeah, I like The
so
Circle.
Netflix
I
has
don't
a
know
little
why I
bit
didn't think
of
about those two shows actually,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. Because we think of Netflix, we think of like the dramas and stuff like that. But I think they are trying to get into this space of like reality competition a little bit. So I thought this was a good step into that, direction for sure. Do we want to just describe, like, I guess, the premise of the show and how it works for anyone who's, may not have watched
yeah.
it?
Yeah, so it's what 12 contestants. They all live in a mansion together. One person is assigned to be the millionaire at the start, and the whole premise is that at the end you have that $1 million in your box. And so through a series of competitions, the contestants are rewarded the opportunity to go into what is called the trophy room. In the trophy room, they get to choose one person from the winning group of the competition to get a clue about the millionaire, and they get the opportunity to share that clue with the rest of the group. And then around kind of like a trader esque vibe, they sit at the table and they get to have discussions about who they think is a millionaire and why, and then they vote, and whoever is voted out, they leave. If it's not the millionaire usually gets rewarded some type of opportunity to either move the money or keep the money or something of that sort. But yeah, the idea is that you have the $1 million at the end in your box.
I wonder if, like, as this game evolves and there's more and more seasons, like how the strategy will shift. Because I think this season, no one really just knew what to do with it all. You know what I mean? Like the money is going to move unless no one ever guesses the first millionaire.
Right.
But it seems like it's a little bit of a far fetched that no one would ever guess the first millionaire. But who knows? Like somebody like Cara who ended up winning the game at the end, she might have been able to stay under the radar the whole time in the beginning. But I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
How did you like Peter as the host? I felt like he was kind of similar to the trader hosts. Like all the trader hosts kind of have this like they're kind of
Mysterious.
their humor, yeah,
Yeah.
and they may have like a not necessarily dark humor, but they're like they may make a joke or two that's kind of like dry but very blunt,
Yeah, I thought he was a good host. I don't think he had
Yeah.
a good cast to be funny with. I don't
Real
think
oh.
I didn't think the cast was that entertaining. But I thought he was a good host. He did a good job. He did the best that he could with what he was given in that cast for sure.
Really? That's interesting that you weren't a fan of the cast. I thought the cast was all right, I didn't have any they didn't have a lot of major personalities, but I guess it wasn't like with the traders and stuff like that, like people who come on, I feel like they are usually like a little bit bigger personalities, and
Yeah.
maybe people who have suspicious their behavior is suspicious, but that's just like their normal quirk about them.
Right.
But here there wasn't too much of that. So except
I
Lauren.
also Yeah, Lauren, she did have a big personality, but I also feel like this group of players, I'm like, did y'all sign up to be on a game show? Because it seems like none of them have ever. I'm like, do y'all watch Survivor, Big Brother, Deal or No Deal Island, like anything? Because the strategy, everything, it just like it wasn't there. So
Yeah,
it didn't
yeah,
keep the game interesting in that sense where I'm like super
yeah,
entertained in terms of strategy. Most of the time I'm
yeah.
yelling at the screen like, what? Why? Why?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I guess let's get into like some of the castmates now. Do you have any faves that you liked? Um, because
um,
I like there's some people I love to hate, I liked Sam but didn't like Sam. Because
yeah.
I did not want her to win the money, but she made the game a little interesting to me because she was
Yes.
my villain. I don't know what, but
Yeah.
she was my person I was kind of rooting against just a little bit because off the gate she came out a little strong to me and I wasn't feeling that. Not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I know for sure for Sam, I was like, "Are you a good cop, sis?" Because these Spidey senses
Yeah.
ain't tingling
I
whatsoever. I
know.
think the
It
only
wasn't, but I mean,
person
she was. Oh, go ahead.
I was like, the only person she was spot on about was Lauren. The rest of
I
them,
was
I
going to
was
say that.
like,
Yeah.
so she started off. I was like, okay, she might be somebody to really like, get behind and root for. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was really hard for me to want someone to really win because the strategy just was
Mm,
not there with these players.
yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, immediately I'm like, I'm rooting for everybody black. But homie, what's his name?
Corey,
Corey.
who was at the end. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Corey. But I really, really
Yeah.
enjoyed watching Phil. When he came out
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that
Phil was
dashiki, I
nice.
was like, my brother,
I
my
know.
brother.
Yeah, yeah. But I thought like overall like you're right, there wasn't anybody I was like rooting for, but at a certain point I did like the fact that Jamie and Sydney they were just like being everybody was attacking them and
Yeah,
they were literally never had the $1 million. And so I kind of wanted them to band together and stick together a little bit more. So there were times where I was rooting for Sydney for sure because I think she was on the hot seat a little longer than Jamie. I definitely was rooting for Phil because he seemed nice, seemed like a nice guy. But I just knew that once that scream clue came out, I was like, this man is gone. He is gone. Like he's out of here. But I thought he made a good argument that like, why get out the millionaire? You know where the money is and it's
right.
gonna move. So either way, I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't like the poker lady. What was her name?
yeah,
Lydia.
Lydia. Yeah,
I
she
didn't
was
like her, and I
nasty.
didn't like Sam. Yeah, and I just felt like she was talking about Jamie, but I'm like maybe I missed the interaction between Jamie and Lauren, but I was a little like I thought. I mean, I don't know. Did you understand that exchange
Yeah, so
between
Lauren
Lauren
basically she was
and
making
Jamie?
the argument that she should stay because you know for a fact that she's not the millionaire, right? But everybody else who didn't vote for her was like, but we know that you're able to lie. Like you were able to successfully do two challenges and now two people are gone and it technically should have been you, right? And so Lauren kind of had this whole to me, it was giving a little like I'm a savior now because I have all of this information that can be helpful, even though, like, I gotta keep a little bit to myself, so I'm not gonna tell you guys everything, but, like, let me stay in. It was giving a little, like, I'm gonna let you know what I want you to know, but you guys are still my pawns a little bit. And I don't think
Yeah.
Jamie was having that, rightfully so. Like, girl, you can just
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and leave if you're not gonna give
Mm-hmm.
everybody all of the information. And I
Mm-hmm.
think Jamie, she has clearly like a stronger personality, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
she is who she is. She never like wavered from who she is. She was authentic to herself. And being a black woman, a tall black woman at that, I'm sure probably felt a little intimidating to some of the other players. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Lydia like just pounced on that. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't cute at all the way Lydia
Yeah.
reacted. And for
Yeah.
Lydia's whole thing was like, Jamie, like for you to be a life coach, I just can't believe that you would talk to somebody like that. But then on your way out, Lydia, you just
Yeah.
she was just straight
To be
up. I don't know
somebody's
all the
grandma. Yeah.
right. Like
Yeah.
she
I
had
can't
the
believe you
right
would
to
talk to
just
somebody like that.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't feeling that at all. But there were times when I
Yeah.
was
I
definitely
mean,
rooting behind Jamie and Sydney because of stuff like that. Because I'm
yeah.
like, y'all just being haters at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, maybe I'll rewatch it because I'm not trying to speak that like maybe Jamie was saying something to Lauren that was rude. But I remember when I watched it, I saw Lauren start crying, but I'm like, just because somebody starts crying and just because somebody has tears does not mean that somebody else was being rude to them, you know?
Right.
So I felt like it sounded like Jamie was saying, this is what you said to me, or this is how you were with me. But I don't know. But either way, wasn't a fan of Lydia. Was, like I said, Sam wasn't. I liked Se Young and I liked Phil. Harry was cool. He just got, you know, the short end of the stick. And I liked Chris, the guy who went
Yeah.
home on, was it the kill shot he went home
Yeah.
on?
No, no, no. He went home
Oh
because
no, no, no. Chris was the one who liked Sydney.
yeah,
I'm talking about the other guy. Who was the
Kyle.
other guy's name? Tyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked him.
Yeah.
He was the most likable to
He
me
was.
as
He
a
was very
guy.
likable.
He just seemed nice. Even his
Yeah.
last words when he was like, you know, I miss my mama's home cooking. I'm gonna be going home to that. I was that was really like he seemed like a genuinely nice guy. So, so those were some of the people at times that I was rooting for. Like I said, Sydney, Jamie, Kyle, and Phil. So
Yeah. I would
and
definitely have to agree
Say
with
Young.
that.
I
Yeah,
didn't
Say
want her
Young.
to,
Yeah.
but she was just gone so early. But I
She
didn't want
was
her
gone so
to.
early, but she literally was the
Yeah.
smartest player, in my opinion, from the jump.
You
Like,
think? Mm,
absolutely. That idea of like, let's vote for people who we trust when they were
yeah.
in the first
Yeah.
trophy room.
Yeah. Yeah. She seemed like she would have brought more strategy to the game
Yeah,
than the other folks brought because
absolutely.
because at a certain point it wasn't making sense. Like getting out the millionaire. It's like, what are y'all trying to do? I think that this game will eventually probably evolve into one where they do get out people they do not trust. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And so I wonder if there is an iteration of this strategy that develops that has like as a standard people the first person just telling, you know, I'm the
Exactly.
millionaire and this is off the rip, you know it's gonna move, you know it's gonna whatever, so I'm just sharing so you can know and understand what it is that that I'm truthful, but it also could be like a huge backfire, so it may be something that never happens.
Yeah,
Like
I
in
feel
terms of
like if you
that
do
being a
that, you would have to
strategy
be able to,
tactic.
yeah, you would have to be able to sniff out like who is here to really play and who can play.
Yeah,
Because in my
yeah.
mind, if somebody comes up to me and they tell me like they're the millionaire, and you tell me what your secret agenda is, I'm gonna help you get it because then I
Mm-hmm.
know that either we are able to move the money, we got votes that can
Mm-hmm.
go in other places, like. It's a benefit to know who the millionaire is and what their secret agenda is, and then what they also
Mm-hmm.
get by completing their secret agenda. But
Yeah.
these players, that's what I'm saying. Like these players, either that or maybe I also was thinking like maybe the game wasn't like 100% explained to them because
Mm.
it
Yeah,
just the
and
way they were playing just yeah. But it will evolve. It definitely
yeah,
will evolve now that we've all seen it.
yeah, for sure. And I also felt like in the beginning, I didn't understand the rules all the way. I was like, so I thought that if they found the millionaire, they all would split the money together. But I didn't realize it moved around. And I didn't realize at the end it was just like this luck thing, you know?
Yeah.
Because it sort of is luck, you know? Cara had to sort of guess based on his behavior what he was going to do. So, but I felt for them at the end. So I don't know. Do we want to like go through the game based on
Yeah.
who had the money at what time? So Lauren was the first millionaire, and just we can talk about some of what she experienced and whether we thought she did a good job and all that good stuff. But yeah, she had to hug everyone and she could get the 3 extra votes. And then she had the song titles, and then I think those were her challenges, right?
Yeah, those are her secret agendas. And her, I think the first tip was she completed the agenda. And then the second tip was like it was a smash hit or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. And so from
yeah.
that, Jamie picked up, well, somebody yelled out like a song title. I don't know what it was, who was it, but I just can recall somebody um, had said something along the line. But I thought overall Lauren did a pretty good job with what she was given. Like to have to hug everybody and stay under the
Mm-hmm.
radar, that's pretty difficult when nobody knows anyone. Like I'll be like, girl, what you going around hugging everybody for? And
I
then
mean, I felt like I felt like she did a good job to complete them, but I also felt like hers were a little easier because I feel like the hugs that was easy because I feel like you're just meeting everybody. You just be like, you're just meeting everybody and just saying like, you know, you could hug, you know, I
yeah.
don't know, but just be like, hey, like I'm a hugger. I just want to, you know, or we're on the same team whenever they did a challenge or something like that. But I guess it had to be done before the challenge,
Right.
something like that.
Yeah, it had to be done
But I don't
before the
know.
challenge. Yeah.
I thought she did a good job, and I thought it was like it could be easy, but
Yeah.
you know, the song titles I feel like were maybe a little bit more difficult, but I think it was good the way she did them in front of only like a few people at a time
Hmm.
because you can't have multiple
Right.
people hearing you say a bunch of song lyrics. They're
Hmm.
gonna put two and two together. So
Yeah. What did you think about her revealing that she was the millionaire?
I did feel like it was a good thing at the time, but also ultimately it put a target on her back. But I think she would have been, I think there was suspicion growing on her, so that I think if she hadn't done that, I think she would have gone either way. I
Hmm.
feel like overall she wasn't as great of a millionaire, like pretending. I think people could tell that she was the millionaire more than the other ones. What do you
Um,
think?
I don't think so, because she made it through two votes as the millionaire.
Yeah, but there were like people who were suspicious of her, like Sam and someone else. But I mean, I could see. I think people. It was the beginning, and people were like, I think that's just her personality.
Yeah,
you
that and
know?
like it was so many people, right? And so everything was looked at. She had the benefit of being in the beginning because everything was looked
Yeah,
at as suspicious behavior, and they weren't you had no information about what a
yeah,
challenge could potentially look like. So she had that benefit. So I feel like she did a good job. I think she should have learned her castmates a little bit better before revealing that she
hmm
was a millionaire. Because if she
yeah,
had known them a little better, I feel like outside looking in, it seems like a smart move to just go ahead and say it's you. That way, all suspicion
hmm
leading forward is off of you.
hmm
Um, but at the same time, this group didn't seemingly understand the point of the game. So,
yeah. Yeah, no,
yeah.
I would have, if I were her, like maybe only told a few people, like you were saying
Yeah.
earlier, about like in the future, this game, people might start pulling aside one or two people. And I think that's the way to do it. But I also think that if you're going to do it, you got to do it from the beginning. You
Right.
know, you, you
Right.
can't do it like after you've already lost,
Mhm.
lost the money and you've been lying for 2 days. Because all you do is solidify yourself as a liar. But
Right.
yeah, she was cool. I didn't really like her personality that much. That's why I
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
maybe
I
I
didn't
was kind of
either.
like,
Yeah.
So I mean, she's not, just more like the too bubbly.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't like how she went about it. I didn't like how she moved after telling everybody that she was a millionaire because it
Hmm.
was just giving this like I'm above all of you vibe.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it,
And
it
I
did got
didn't
a
I
little bit
wasn't really
too.
with that. I was like, that's not what you do with that information. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and it came at the
Um,
expense of Say Young, which I wanted her to stay, so I was salty.
right, right.
Alrighty, so let's go into Phil, who I think had
Mm,
definitely a harder time being a millionaire.
yeah.
So the first tip that came out against him was that it was somebody who was not chased by the dog in the first
Hmm.
challenge. And so that took it down to what, six people potentially, because he did not complete his first agenda. He said, you know what, it's
Hmm.
cool. There's suspicion all over the place, and it's not on me, which I thought was an
Hmm.
excellent play. No need to get your
Yeah.
hands dirty if you don't need to. And then his second agenda was to make two people scream,
Hmm.
which I think he did excellently. Right, like
Hmm.
being a therapist,
Hmm.
it kind of
Hmm.
like just fell right in his lap.
Hmm.
However, they give this BS tip about a famous horror movie.
I know, I know. Yeah, but I also think that like for him to have done that, I feel like he needed to do it in front of everybody so they could hear the build up because I think the people who were in the other room, like Lydia and them, it's like immediately it seems suspicious that
Right.
like is that a challenge? People are screaming. Is that a challenge? Or what is it? An agenda? I keep calling
Yeah.
it a challenge, but yeah. So I don't know. If I was him, I might have not have done any of these.
Yeah.
Like, I might not have done any of them. I'm like, I decline. Can they decline them? I wonder if there's
A
if they
limit
can
to
they
well,
just
if they
continue? Yeah.
decline, then there is something that goes against them. So the first one, there wasn't
Oh,
a
true, true,
consequence for
true.
declining, but the second
Mm.
one, because he declined, it was like it'll be two votes against you or something of
Hmm.
that nature.
Yeah. I think I might have taken those two votes.
Yeah, if I knew it wasn't on me,
But
for sure. But my
yeah,
thing was
yeah.
like, I don't know. I felt like it was a setup. I'm like, y'all don't want Phil to win because every other Millionaires challenge was just way easier in a sense.
Yeah. I do think that making people scream was a little bit more difficult. I do think that was probably the most difficult one of all of them. I don't remember what his first agenda was. What was his first
I
agenda?
can't remember
Do
what
you
his
remember?
first agenda was that he
Yeah.
didn't that he declined.
Yeah, but I do think his was a little bit, and I think the clue was a little bit more pointed towards him, you know? I think that the one with Sam lying about the profession and Do You Hear the Ring, I don't think those were as difficult. I don't know if that was particular to him, but yeah.
Mm-mm.
What?
I think it was.
Oh, ha
I was
ha
like, they set my boy up, point blank, period.
ha
Okay, I'm like, they didn't want that black man to walk out with $1 million.
ha. Maybe, yeah. I didn't really feel like he had a good chance with those. I will say that. And I feel like the movie was just like immediate, like it's a dead giveaway, you know?
Yeah. And then
So I think
the being the
that was a
person to
little bit
break the
unfair.
tie.
Now that I don't remember how I wasn't even they lost me with that. I was like, okay, it just lost me. I was like, okay, I didn't even try to do the math on that. I just was like, okay, if it's clearly one person, then it's clearly one person. I just literally didn't try to do the math.
Yeah, so it was first it was somebody who wasn't chased by the dog, right? So that took it down to 6. And then because of that vote, they were like, when they said the millionaire would be the person to break the tie if there's a tie. And
Mhm.
because Phil voted for Lauren, they knew it was down to either Phil, Corey, or Sydney at that point because everybody else said that they were going to vote Sydney out. So it had to
Mhm.
be somebody who voted for Lauren to go. So it took it down to those
Yeah,
three. And then he had the challenge of the screaming. It was kind of like, oh, well, yeah,
yeah,
it has to be Phil. Like the lead up to it
yeah,
being Phil was just
yeah.
way too obvious.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I was just saying, like, I didn't track the votes because I'm like, they seem to not understand sometimes that people could be lying. You
Yeah,
know, like people could be lying.
right.
Like
Like they just take
sometimes
it
they don't seem for the yeah.
for
Like
face
even when
value.
they were talking about the sisters, the two sisters, like it was just like somebody could be lying to you. I don't understand why you haven't put that on the table as a possibility. But either way,
Do you think they should have
do you
kept Phil?
I do. I do. I think that knowing who the millionaire is the best bet because I think they only give agendas to people who are the millionaire
Hmm.
and people who are in the trophy room. And so you would have an opportunity to kind of limit where a trick could be coming from
Right.
because you know it's them or it's the person in the trophy room who are doing something.
Yeah.
So I think it's better to know where the money is and kind of keep that situation stable than to move it. Now, it would have been moved anyway. They didn't know that because he had completed the agenda.
Right.
But, So you want to switch into Sam?
Yes.
So Sam's two agenda items were one, she had to say about, do you hear that ringing or whatever? And somebody had to say yeah. Now that was a little difficult for somebody to say yes. I think she felt that. Did she?
Yeah, no, she got it. She got it. When they did the little like what was it, the
Oh yeah, Jamie
slingshot?
said yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
hear
hear
it or
that
whatever. I
ring.
forgot about it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That one and the second one was the Justin Timberlake, which I feel like that was very easy. Like you could say anything, mention the Super Bowl, incident, or do as she did. I didn't know so many people knew who Jessica Biel was married to, and I also didn't know. So I didn't know he was supposed to be a cheater. He's a cheater and stuff like that.
I ain't know that
Justin
either,
Timberlake.
child.
I didn't know because she was all like, it reminds me of the way he is. Like she says, like, it's disingenuous, or she said something
Yeah,
pointing to the fact that Justin Timberlake could be like this guy who's not, you know,
who he
I
says
don't
he
know,
is.
above board or cheating or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I was like, I had never heard that, but I don't pay attention to Justin Timberlake gossip, so I don't know.
yeah, me either. I wouldn't. If she would have asked me that, I would have been like, "Who, child? I don't know who you
Jessica
talking
Biel,
about."
yeah, I know. I would have been like, I don't. I would have thought about it because I do know that they were married. They're married. It's just deep, deep, deep in my brain. It's not something
Yeah,
that I would have had to dig in, the crates to remember that. But yeah, so it worked for her. So it was easy for her to do it. But I do think that hers were a little bit easier, except getting someone to say
yes, I
that
hear
they
the
heard
ring.
the
Yeah,
yeah that they heard the ring. I think that was a little bit more difficult, but yeah, she seems like somebody who's like a undercover. She can do it. At times, I thought she seemed like she was looking suspicious, and I thought maybe Lydia would catch her, peeper, but she didn't. I thought that her decision was she the one who decided to get rid of Lydia, right?
Yeah, she got rid of Lydia.
I thought that was a good decision.
I think so too.
Because yeah, Lydia is like the meddling old lady. She's gonna figure
Yes.
out, so
Yeah, she
it's
definitely was
good
gonna
for
figure it
anybody.
out. Yeah. And I mean, she
Yeah,
had to do that because she needed to frame someone who would potentially vote for Sydney. I mean, who would vote
yeah,
for,
yeah,
yeah, who would vote for Sydney. So it
yeah,
was
yeah.
either going to be Lydia or Jamie, you know?
Yeah, and that's why I felt like I didn't like Sam as much. Sam was the only person really coming with strategy at times.
Yeah.
And so it's like that's sort of why I said at the beginning like I like her, but then I don't like her because I don't like her because like her personality, something about her. I'm like you just seem like I can't trust you fully. I didn't like how she opened up with the lie already and about having a child and in vitro. I just felt like that rubbed me the wrong way in the
Mm.
beginning. I think that's what it was. Even though I think that some of that is true is what she was saying, but it just felt like I didn't like her using it like that. And so that rubbed me in the wrong way just from the beginning, and I don't think it ever recovered. But like I said, Sam was the one, probably the only one bringing some level of strategy to this,
Yeah.
aside from Lauren. I think Lauren had strategy as well with it, but yeah, I think everybody else was just like kind of fumbling along and trying to figure out. So I'm glad she was present this season. I think without her, I think the season would have been even less, even less strategic. So I do give her that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she did a pretty good job being a millionaire. I think the pop thing, like, it tied her up because of that statement that she
Yeah.
made. That we didn't see what she had said. I don't remember that
Oh yeah, we
conversation.
saw it. Yeah, yeah. She said it. They were talking about a lie detector, and she said something about
Oh,
she had a cop
cop
friend
friend. Yeah,
who
yeah, yeah.
who passed it or something.
So yeah, that I think really it summed it up for her. So she got to move the money like right in time.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
great choice to get rid of Lydia. Lydia, she also had strategy, like the idea to keep Phil and vote somebody else
Yes.
out. That was a good
Yeah.
strategy. People just
Yes.
didn't, cling on to it. Something else that happened while Sam was the millionaire was when Lydia was voted out, even though Chris did vote for Lydia, he said, "Oh, I voted for Sydney." What do you think about that? Considering they kind of had that little romance going on.
I'm like, Chris could have said he could have told her that he voted for Sam. He didn't have to tell everybody. He could have told Sydney. You know what I'm saying? And so, like at the end when he got booted out, he was all like, I'd never seen the princess stab the prince in the back when at the end. And I'm like, bruh, you have lied to her. She's still under the thought that you voted her out. She's not wrong for that. Like you think because you saved somebody one time that you can do anything after that. She
Right.
thinks you tried to vote her out. Like so what does it matter that you tried to save her? What does it matter when you kicked her out the castle? You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
just, you pushed her off the cliff. You're like, I tried to save you. I couldn't save you from pushing you off the cliff. So I decided to push you off the cliff myself. It's like, Chris. Like she has the right to be upset, especially because she doesn't know the truth. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And even if he had told her the truth, then I would have been upset that you lied to me all this time. But it's just like thing on top of thing on top of thing. So his only play with that, if he was trying to get in good with Sydney, which he seems to have been trying to do, was to tell her after the vote and after that conversation, I can't tell them, but I voted for Sam. I'm very suspicious of her. And I think she would have taken that well.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know why he didn't go back and tell her. Like that to me was so dumb. And then just to play the whole "I'm so sorry," like, yes, I voted for you. I was like,
Ah,
why do you think this would help your game at all? Like to tell her,
right,
yeah, I actually did
right.
vote for you, but I'm sorry. And
Yeah,
the whole like
yeah.
what he said at the table, he was like, yeah, we talked and we had a
I
good
know.
conversation, and I think we're on a good page. And then the host was like, oh, actually, let's go ahead and let Sydney address this, actually, because that's who I was talking
Yeah,
to.
I know. It gave very like I don't want to say controlling because it's not because I don't think he's like I'm not trying to say controlling, but like trying to frame the narrative and just or patronizing. It gave something
Yes.
like I'm trying to I speak for my woman, and she's
Yes.
just like, first of all, I'm not even your woman.
I wanted to
So it's
sit Chris
interesting.
down and say, baby, this is not going anywhere. Sydney does not date
Yeah,
men like you
yeah,
9 times out of
yeah,
10.
yeah. I mean, I think it could have been if she didn't say ever that she was interested in him. She just was like, I can tell, so I'm gonna use a little flirty, you know. So she never said she was interested in him. And as things went on and on, I could tell she was less and less interested.
Hmm.
But either way, sorry to this man, So, but yeah, that was a wrong move. I don't even understand why he thought it was a good move in the beginning. But either way, is there anything else to discuss with regard to Sam's time as a millionaire, or move on to
No, no,
Cara?
yeah, no.
Yeah, so Cara, I didn't necessarily want her to win. I wanted Corey to win once they got to the end, you know what I mean? Or Sydney,
Yeah.
But once that crawling thing happened, like they were trying to go underneath the lasers and stuff, I knew that there was going to be a problem. But she almost got put it out of there.
Yeah, she
And
almost
I
did.
really wish she had. I
Yeah.
really wish she had. It would have been better for everyone,
Yeah,
Of course.
agreed. Yeah. I don't feel
But
like she had to work at all for that $1 million, quite
yeah,
honestly.
yeah,
Like, yeah, staying
yeah,
under the radar is a strategy, but like you did nothing. At least for Corey,
yeah.
even though he was wrong every single time,
I
he voiced
know.
his opinion. Like he
Yeah.
was trying to figure it out, which I respect more than Kara's game and just like getting to the end and having all these hunches. I was like, girl, your intuition ain't that strong.
Ah,
What producer was back there telling you who had the $1 million? I want to know because I don't
that's
believe it.
funny.
I think it was
No,
rigged, quite honestly.
you think it was rigged? Oh my, because I was
Absolutely.
like, the only thing about her that I mean, she did. You don't think she picked up on Phil? You don't
I
think that
think she did pick up
that
on
was a
Phil
real?
very well, and I think she
Okay.
did pick up. I think she also thought that it was. I think she had her suspicion on Sam, but her loyalty to Sam didn't
Mm,
allow her to say it. So I
to
thought
see.
that
Oh,
was
gotcha.
cool or whatever. But um, yeah, I didn't like her game. Mm-mm,
Well,
mm-mm.
yeah, me neither. One of the things though I found it hard to believe that she was a cook at In and Out. That's all she did. I
Yeah,
it just was giving, like, did she lie on the show? Like, I really would have loved
yeah.
to
Where's
see
the
her be like,
pictures?
this is my uniform, this is where I was,
Yes.
this is my crew, these are people, because it just gave like, she just seemed more well spoken for, to just that's her job. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I'm not saying that that's like a bad job or anything. Like, I mean, it's not a job that's going to produce you a lot of money. And she seems like she could at a minimum been somebody's receptionist. She
Yeah.
could be, customer service. She has a very, pleasant affect about her. It was giving like what was she, 29? Did she say she was 27?
Yeah, I can't remember,
It
but
just
I
was
will say
giving.
In and Out workers they don't make terrible money like to be a fast food chain. I
Okay.
think they make over 20 an hour, and I'm not even, and I think that might just be like the
Oh, really?
cashiers. Yeah, they're pretty up there
Okay.
on the hourly
Okay.
wage, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Now what a cook makes, I'm not sure because I'm sure they probably make
Yeah.
even more. But still, you would assume that that's not what what I'm saying that she does, but she stuck to
Yeah.
it. I was like, maybe she did lie to the show, but I didn't believe in her game that much. I really felt like it was rigged, especially towards the end, because I was just like, there was no chance for real that anybody else would get it,
Mm,
especially because you had. I mean, she knew to share the information with Corey because Corey is just, I don't know where he's at in the game. Like head is
yeah.
not in reality.
Ah,
But yeah, I couldn't get behind her game at all. I felt like it was rigged.
interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like maybe she slipped under the radar, but I could see it. I could see it. Did you think her choice in terms of her kill shot was good to get out Kyle?
Yes, because Kyle was the only person at the table, um, outside of Sydney, because Sydney would have made it obvious that it was one of them, right? Outside of
Uh,
Sydney and Jamie, well, Sydney had immunity, so she couldn't
yeah,
get out Sydney anyways, and she knew
yeah,
possibly Sydney came back with something and wasn't sure what it
yeah,
was.
Yeah.
But I thought Kyle was a good move because Kyle at the table said, "Well, Cara, like, what if it is you? Like he hinted
Mm,
that maybe there should be some suspicion on you." And I think in
mm-hmm.
doing that, she said, "Well, out of everybody in my crew, Kyle is the only person that I have, and so I have to get rid of him." So I thought that was
Yeah.
a good choice.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well, but I was more so thinking about it because I felt like she had great relations with Sam and Corey, and they probably, out of loyalty, would take her. And
Yeah,
I felt like maybe Kyle would not so much.
yeah,
But yeah, but I felt like Sam also though could be one just because she's just too I felt like she's just too strong of a player. Like I
yeah.
would have gotten Sam out just off of her ability to strategize and think, but I guess they don't see that side of her.
Right, yeah.
So yeah.
But she didn't have Car
But
didn't have to work hard like that whole like move seats. I'm like, come on now. Like all of these
ah,
challenge these agendas that you guys have been giving the millionaires, and at the very end where you would think it should be the hardest, you have move 3 seats. Like, $1 million secret to better. So that's why I felt like it was a little rigged because I'm like the game seemingly got easier, not harder for the
mm,
millionaire.
mm,
And
mm.
it probably should be the other way around.
Yeah,
Because
no,
that's
I
how
would
you would
agree with
create
that.
more chaos is having like easier agendas in the beginning. Like if Lauren had to move 3 seats, that probably wouldn't be the most suspicious thing in the world. But at
Hmm.
the end, if Cara has to give hugs to everybody, especially the people she's
Hmm.
not in an alliance with, like that would
Yeah.
probably be seen as a little suspicious once everybody has gotten to know her and knows, okay, she's probably not the biggest hugger.
Hmm.
So why is
Hmm.
she going around hugging everybody?
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't think they didn't make it difficult for Cara at all at the end.
Yeah, the two sisters twist was interesting. I did think she did a good job with that, just kind of being on guard. But yeah, I felt like she didn't do a lot to earn it, but she just was lucky to be at the end. And she
Yeah,
did a few things that were right about like kind of reading Corey, and then just a few things that were right. So,
yeah. Let's go into like also just like the last challenge with the sewing competition that they
okay.
had when they had to thread
Mm-hmm.
the needle. Do you think they should have been more suspicious of the fact that Cara had
She was
such a
shorter time.
significantly
Yeah.
less time than everybody else?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Yeah, I
Because
don't
it's
know why
like,
they didn't raise that suspicion like at all.
yeah, it seems like it just didn't do anything for them.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And then in the last trophy room, what did you think? What you think about that with moving the money?
oh, like the finale,
Yeah,
that part where they had to, I think that's where I think she did a good job. Cara. I feel like Corey, he should, if he felt it was her, I think he should have done maybe what she did, and just said like, Cara, I'm really not sure about you. I don't know, and like done gave his suspicion on her, and then kept the money still, and maybe that she would steal it back.
yeah,
But I don't know.
yeah. All of that.
I don't know.
Once Cara revealed that she threw the challenge, I feel like the game was in Corey's hands, and he
Hmm.
fumbled it completely.
Yeah, no, true,
He
true,
fumbled it
true.
right there. That was his redemption moment, and I was like, "Come on,
Yeah,
Corey, let's just
yeah,
think." And
yeah. But I guess overall, like, would you feel like the season? Like, do you feel like you would watch another season? How'd you think it ranked compared to like some of the shows like Traders, Survivor, Big Brother, some of these competition reality shows?
I think it's on the
Um,
bottom just because it's not developed
yeah,
enough.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think maybe in a couple more seasons, once like more strategy has been put into play, there's more creativity. Hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
on the creators of the show, they have more creativity with the challenges. I thought the challenges were a little lame. Um,
Mm-hmm.
especially like the first one, like, oh, I'm just gonna copy their strategy and do 2 arrows at a time and go back and do the other 2 arrows. It was like this was not well thought out, I felt. And so hopefully now that everybody has had a chance to rewatch it and future players have potentially had a chance to watch it, it will just become a better show because it has the bones. But we
Mm-hmm.
just need a little bit
Yeah.
more meat for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Like, it's not, I tell my family, we like the traders a lot, like, as a family. And I'm like, it's not the traders. It's a little kind of step down. But if you're in between shows, you don't have nothing to watch, you don't have Big Brother, you don't have Survivor, and you're looking for a competition reality show, it's a good watch. It's a good
Yeah.
watch. It kept me entertained for sure. It took a second for me to get it, but then like maybe episode 2 or 3, that's when I started enjoying watching it more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I think that is all. If you aren't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can stay tuned to all of our recaps. We are Black Girls Talking TV on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And until next time, bye.
Bye.